What is going on, guys? Scott Jelinek here, the founder of Slow Flips, and I just wanted to take some time to answer some questions that you guys have posted as comments on YouTube videos, because I always find it's better to do a video answering it rather than just typing in an answer, which is hard to understand half the time. So I want to go ahead and answer some of them for you because, like I tell you guys, I have made all the mistakes already so that you don't have to. So I'm going to answer. These are just 4 comments that came in on YouTube. And by the way, I love when you put in your comments. So keep doing it. Keep sharing. I enjoy it a lot. The very first one I wanted to answer said, would you recommend we put our children on our LLC so that when we pass, they will automatically get the properties? So as I always have to start off by telling you, I am not a CPA, I am not an attorney, but I can tell you from my experience and from what I do know that no, you should not do that for a dozen reasons, but I'll just touch on a couple of them. Reason number 1 is when you pass, your properties would get what they call a step-up basis, which means your children would inherit it at the value it was that day, meaning if they turned around and sold it tomorrow for that value, they would pay no taxes. If they were already on the LLC or on the property, either way, prior, their basis is whatever your basis was, which means if you bought it for 30 and now it's worth 200 and they decided to sell it, they're going to be taxed on that gain of 170. So no, you don't want to do it for that reason. Another reason that you don't want to do it is if they were to get married and get divorced. I'm not saying they're going to, but if they were to get divorced, well, now that's an asset that they have and it can be included in their settlement. Or if they were to get creditors or judgments or liens, it's an asset of theirs. If they were to be brought in for interrogatories, they would have to disclose it as an asset. So there are other ways to do it. You can do a transfer on death deed, so you can still avoid probate. You can put it in a trust, which would still avoid probate. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but just putting them on the LLC for that purpose, at least from my knowledge, I do not believe is the correct thing to do. Now, I do have an LLC that has my son on it, but the purpose was never for transferring him. The purpose was for them to be his at some point. So just wanted to answer that question for you. 3 other questions I wanted to go over with you. One was, he said, hi, Scott, I assume by slow selling, you mean wholesaling slow flips, which the answer to that is yes. He went on to say, selling them then to an investor who's doing the BRRRR method or renovating, in which case that answer is no. We wholesale them to slow flippers, which, as you know, as a slow flipper, we don't renovate them. We don't do work to them. We sell them exactly as is. So yes, slow sailing is just a term we came up with for wholesaling slow flips. And the only reason to differentiate it is because I love wholesaling. I teach wholesaling. The problem is there's a set of rules we use when we wholesale as far as how we come up with our offer, how we come up with the price, how much we would sell for. With slow sailing, with wholesaling slow flips, those numbers are more or less out the window, and really it comes down to how much will it generate monthly. So that's the reason why we call it something different than wholesaling, even though it's relatively the same thing, just different math. And then the second part of your comment said, and then filling, because I say we have fillers, right? Then fillers are locating the tenant buyers, placing them into he said a renovated place, but no, we don't renovate them. We try and buy what we call somewhat livable. They're not renovated. Sometimes they're in perfect shape. Sometimes they're not, but we don't do any work to them. We don't renovate. I have not renovated anything since 2013, and I don't intend on ever doing it again. So take that for what it's worth. 2 more comments I wanted to respond to. One of them said, this was on the video that I did about evictions and how in the end, evictions could be good for your business because it helps you bring you closer to your lifer. You know, really, obviously it's not good for your business, but I was trying to put a spin of the bright side on a bad situation. Anyway, the comment said, wouldn't evictions lead to collecting additional down payments as well as potentially higher monthly payments? So yes, you would collect an additional down payment, but no, that's nothing you ever want to do. Because although I know some people like that do lease options, they're like, oh, if they don't pay, we'll kick them out. We get someone else, we get another down payment. We collect very small down payments with slow flips. Generally, it's $3,000 to $5,000. Sometimes they're even less, right? And occasionally they're a lot more. Obviously, my highest one was $60,000. But we don't ever want to turn it over just to collect another down payment. Again, the average is $3,000. In turning it over, you have to think if somebody got evicted, they're a month or 2 or 3 behind, which means you already lost $3,000 or thereabouts. Then you have a vacancy period while you're working on refilling it. So no, we don't want to do it for an additional down payment. However, yes, you would get an additional down payment from your new buyer. But that's never, we don't want to evict ever. That's not a purpose for it. And then you wrote, as well as potentially higher monthly payments. So that is true, but, and I want to throw in the but for you. Yes, you can potentially get higher monthly payments. I've had properties that turned over where somebody owed me $875, and as soon as paying $875 per month, and as soon as it turned over, I went to $1,450, $1,550. You know, they're significantly higher because they were there a while and the prices have gone up a lot. Why I say except for is there's also a circumstance where I might have been collecting $875 or $975 or whatever dollar amount you want to say. And then when I get the property back, it is in severely worse condition than it once was. And so now instead of $975, I may have reduced it now to $675 because I have to compensate for the work that my new buyer is going to have to put into the property. So yes, in many circumstances, it does go up. However, on rare occasions, sometimes we would lower it because again, I don't do the work. Some people do work and fix them up. That's their business. I don't. So I price it accordingly to what the market will bear. Then the very last question I wanted to answer for you was a very simple one. Somebody posted, what's the difference between a wholesale fee and an assignment? So first off, an assignment, not an assignment fee, an assignment is the contract, the paperwork of you actually assigning a contract to your end buyer. That is what wholesaling is. I believe you might have meant, what is the difference between a wholesale fee and an assignment fee? And if that was your question, the answer is there absolutely is no difference. It is an assignment fee, just some people call it a wholesale fee. But the reality is that fee that we get for assigning a contract is a wholesale fee, is an assignment fee, I'm sorry. So some people call it a wholesale fee, but really it's an assignment fee. It doesn't matter, you can call it whatever you want. The check still cashes the same, right? You're still just gonna deposit it. That's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you sending in the questions. I prefer to answer them on video rather than just write you out a response in your comments. So if you have more questions, by all means, do not hesitate. Go ahead and ask the questions. You can either put it below this video or below whatever video it was that you had questions on, and I will go ahead and get them answered for you. Have an absolutely fantastic day. This is, I'm in Hatteras right now at our beach house. This is November. I just came up for the day. November, and it's absolutely beautiful outside. I'm looking forward to getting out there and enjoying the day. I can't believe we're getting this weather in November. Have a fantastic day. If you have not done so already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you will be updated as new videos come out, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.